The time is now for James Peoples, and I think the message has gotten across is we got to take a look at this Ohio State running back group and find out which one of these guys is going to be a player. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. This is your first time watching the #1 college football show. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year-round. And it's about that time when we're taking a look at rosters that have been readjusted. We've seen transfers go. We've seen guys declare for the NFL draft. Now we more or less know what the backbone of each one of these programs is going to look like. And Ohio State is in a year of transition. After winning the national championship in 2024, they're going to lose their top wide receiver, Emeka Egbuka, arguably, right? Certainly the most prolific. He's got the most receptions of any Ohio State receiver in history. They're also going to lose their starting quarterback, Will Howard, which means they're on to a fourth starting quarterback in as many years. C.J. Stroud, Kyle McCord, Will Howard, and now we think Julian Sayin. They're also going to lose both their #1 and #2 tailbacks, or as I think they were more likely used, 1A and 1B in Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson being the home run hitter. Quinshon Judkins capable of hitting home runs, also the battering ram, the guy that was going to run through and break tackles. Not to say that Henderson didn't, but you could see the thunder and lightning of it. And this is an interesting year for Carlos Locklyn, who goes into year 2 as the running backs coach at Ohio State. One of the things that I thought was more interesting about what they did in bringing in Coach Locklyn was who he was replacing, right? He was replacing Tony Alford, who ends up going to Michigan, and they have a down year, right? Donovan Edwards is nowhere near the kind of tailback that deserved to be on the cover of EA Sports College Football 25. You know, the Heisman Trophy winner was on it. Travis Hunter, a guy that led his team to back-to-back college football playoffs, was also on it. Quinn Ewers, and then there was Donovan Edwards, who didn't do much of anything at Michigan last year. This year, I think it's going to be interesting for Locklyn to make sure that James Peoples hits his stride going into 2025, and more or less to make sure that happens, he recruited a couple of guys that are going to be freshmen that I think can play, right? Bo Jackson and Turbo Rogers being top of the list. Bo Jackson, whose first name is also Lamar. That's going to be fun. That's just going to be Lamar Bo Jackson? That's just going to be so much fun. Like, I can't imagine what NIL opportunities are going to find their way to him. But he's there because he's a great tailback, right? And that's what James Peoples is. Last year, James Peoples was the #3 tailback on the team. Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson getting the bulk of the carries. It's not to say that James Peoples not talented. It is that, to use Carlos Locklyn's phrasing, he needs to run his race, right? Run your race. Watch what Q does, watch what Trey does, and know that your time is coming. His time is now, right? And they brought in C.J. Donaldson, who's got over 2,000 rushing yards in his career from West Virginia, but also started his career at West Virginia as a tight end and is a bruising, battering ram of a back. I think that dude's going to get touches. I think he's going to have to do a lot to disprove that he doesn't need the ball. But the way that folks were talking about James Peoples last year would have probably ascended to the top of the conversation in any other year that didn't have Jeremiah Smith as your most talented true freshman and, frankly, perhaps the most talented wide receiver in the country, right? Especially given what he did against Oregon and given what he did against Notre Dame. Peoples is now in a space where he is expected to act like the #1 tailback. And I love Locklyn's thinking here. A, he's growing them up. B, he's telling them, hey, get out of the microwave society part of this. You're on a long haul. You're on a marathon. You're trying to take your time to get your spot. And now your spot is coming up. It's time to go run. It's also very interesting to me that Locklyn has continued to do the old school approach of, I'm going to, I brought you here, right? And you are maybe play. I don't know. That's up to you. But while you might play or might not play, I'm going to recruit 3 other guys that make sure you don't play. I love that. But you know what? I don't expect nothing less from a Q-Dog. I just don't, right? Hey, you going to have to get, what do you say? You keep them soft-baked cookies from around me. It's true, though. Like, my man was working correctional in Memphis, all right? Like, the things that Carlos Locklyn knows about young men and boys are not going to be things that I think many other college football coaches know. He also is coaching them hard. And you got to love them if you coach them hard. That's difficult to get across. But, like I tend to look at this and go, oh, school. We got an old school black daddy as a running backs coach. I am here for it because Carlos Locklyn, like my daddy, like my granddaddies, he ain't suffer no fools. He ain't suffer no fools. No fools. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you the man that raised my mama that had a hand in raising me. So my mama had a boyfriend named Richard. And Richard would walk my mama home back when you still did that, right? This is like the 70s, early 70s. And Richard one day just decided to linger outside on the porch for just a little too long. Okay? I don't know what Richard thought he was doing. My mama don't either, but they were standing on the porch. But Granddaddy was inside and screen doors open so he could see. And Granddaddy looked up at that boy and said, boy, took the shiny from the side of the chair, put it across his lap, said, ain't you got somewhere you need to be? Carlos Locklyn remind me of the kind of daddy that might ask you, not with no firearm, but I might ask you, boy, ain't you got somewhere you need to be? You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that. And you know what? If nothing else, you're going to be tough. You're going to be hard. You're going to be brutal when you get on the football field to make it go. You're going to go out there and you're going to hurt people who are trying to hurt you. You're going to act as if every carry is your life depending on it. And Lord help you if you put the ball on the floor. Because another thing I can get for Carlos Locklyn is he don't suffer no fools putting the ball on the floor. Matter of fact, I haven't met a running backs coach who ain't worth a damn, who ain't hard, and who don't come after you hard when you put the ball on the floor, put the ball on the carpet. Don't do that. Jay Boulware at Oklahoma, at Texas, don't do that. Robert Gillespie at Alabama, who, by the way, was that dude at Hattiesburg High. I'm trying to tell y'all. He don't allow for such a thing. And I tend to think that Carlos Locklyn, who does not skip arm day, feels the same way. I think James Peoples is going to turn a lot of heads going into this. I don't know that he is going to turn as many heads as Travion Henderson when he first showed up, because the blazing speed, the breakaway speed that Henderson had and continues to have is just not normal. But when you look at his output and you see him with the ball, you can easily see why people are enthralled with him at 7.5 yards deep. He's had a couple years to get himself ready to go. A year to get himself ready to go. And I think they're going to learn a lot when they get into spring practice about what they expect him to do or not do. But as I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the running back room, could it be the second best running back room in the country? Yeah. I mean, we're going to say Nick Singleton and Katron Allen are the best running back room in the country. We're going to do that. Could it be second, third? Could it be fourth? Sure. Does it need to be? Probably. And that's really going to be the key. You're going to have wideouts, right? Jeremiah Smith is going to be there. Brandon Ennis is going to be there. You're going to, Carnell Tate is going to be there. After that, Mylan Graham probably needs to do something. Bryson Rogers probably needs to do something. But the top three wide receivers at Ohio State played 600 snaps last year. But the top three wide receivers at Ohio State were all really, really, really good. And the service was better toward the end of the year. One of the things they can lean on, though, is run the football. Probably too much because they refuse to open up the offense. Maybe they will with Julian Sam because they might not know what they got at running back. I remember this kind of clearly. Last time I got to talk to Ryan Day one-on-one, it was about a number of things. But Trey Sermon and the way that he came on toward the end of the 2020 year was huge, right? Because he transferred in from Oklahoma, also was on that team that Baker led to a win at Columbus, when he dropped the flag on y'all, and now everybody want to put the flag down on somebody's logo, but Baker did it first. They didn't really know what they had in Trey, and if you watch the early games, like the ones they played in November of that 2020 year, you would see they're still trying to figure out, is this dude any good? Is he going to show us what we thought we saw on tape at Oklahoma? And then he did, right? Then he did. They're looking for that from James Peoples. They're looking for that from their players. There's a lot of guys that are going to get opportunities here to show out because a veteran group is gone. There are 15 guys that have been invited to the NFL scouting combine at Ohio State. That's a lot of dudes to replace. So you ought to have a fierce competition at the front all the way through to when you get to play your real big-time game. First big-time game of the season is going to be Texas. Is James Peoples ready for that? I know C.J. Baxter at Texas is going to be. Quintravion Wisner at Texas is going to be. Could they be the second best tailback group in the country? That's a conversation we're going to have. But right now, I think we're going to find out quite a bit about James Peoples in the next 8-9 months. And then we'll see, right? But right now, you got to feel real good if you're an Ohio State fan and your backfield is young and hungry and being led by a running backs coach who brooks no BS and is on your head.